Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, if you haven't heard, was on with Pat McAfee yesterday, and he was asked this basic question. If teams are just going to bang it through the end zone and give up the 30, will the NFL change the rules, move the touchback maybe to the 35 at some point during the season?
Well, I think what would happen, no, not before the regular season. The competition committee met last week. They made some very minor adjustments. They were really very minor. I think what we're going to do, Pat, is what we always do. We put this in for a year. We'll evaluate it for the entire year. If we see that type of circumstance come out, probably evaluate where the ball goes out to the 35 next year and try that. I think it depends on sort of the outcome and what it is we think we can tweak.
They're not going to change during the season. You undermine the integrity of the season. If you play half the year with it being the 30 as the touchback point, and then all of a sudden, we're changing to 35, that dramatically adjusts everything.
It does.
As you've already got your plans in place for the year, you've been practicing things a certain way. Wait a minute, you're going to move. That's a significant change if it happens. They had a chance to do it before the season. They didn't. They met last Tuesday. The owners did on this private equity rule. There was no discussion of moving it from the 30 to 35. My theory is that the NFL is content if it is a rash of touchbacks because, number one, fewer kick returns definitely means fewer injuries. That's what they've been trying to do the last 15 years.
That's
it's the most dangerous play in the game. Let's just do it less frequently. Number two, better field position means more scoring. All the drives start at the 30 instead of the 25. We're going to have more points. And number three, they can at least say we tried. We tried. We tried to change this rule. We've tried to resurrect the kickoff.
I hear you there.
The coaches weren't willing to play ball with us. They're the ones that chose to kick it out of the end zone because either way, they're going to get improved field position and they're going to get more scoring.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm with a lot of people that I think are, in the NFL and have thought about this, the logic of it. I think there's going to be still a great number of touchbacks, especially early on in the football season. I will say, though, I think there's some teams that will be bold and try to gain an advantage. I do. One thing I've had come up a few times with people in the NFL over the last few months is let's just take a matchup this weekend. Hey, it's the Patriots and the Bengals, right? We know the Bengals are clearly the favorite, right? This is a desperate team like the Patriots. The kickoff is, I think, an angle where teams are looking at the lesser teams, especially going, hey, we can maybe gain an advantage doing this. Those are the teams that I think I would be scared of if I was a head coach, right? I think the really good football teams are going to go, wait, we're good on offense and defense, just like you talked about, and we'll play we'll just play defense and offense and do that. And we're not going to let this play ruin our football game. But I do think we'll see some teams that maybe feel like, hey, we're underdog, we're overmatched this week. We're going to tinker with some things here and try to gain an advantage. That's where I think it could be exciting this early part of the season.
For tonight's pregame show, I got in touch with as many people as I possibly could, directly and indirectly, to get a vibe on what's
because we're going to talk about it.
And risk-reward is the
big
key
thing,
term.
right?
You do an analysis just like anything else. The problem is there isn't a pool of information we can draw upon.
Exactly right.
We have 49 preseason games. And based on the 49 preseason games, the average starting field position is the 28.8. So you give up the extra yard, you take away the risk of the long return. But there will be situations where teams will welcome the risk of the long return in exchange for the reward of pinning the team at or inside the 20. The average starting field position for the returns that begin in the end zone is the 23.3. So you can get some field position that way. And I'll give you an example of when I think we're going to see this. Because I think you're on the money. If a team's got nothing to lose, they're more dangerous. They're more likely to fake a punt. They're more likely to fake a field goal. They're more likely to go for it on fourth down. And they're more likely to try to put the ball between the 20 and the goal line. Teams, I think, not all of them, but they've been practicing with their kicker the line drive that lands inside the 20, skitters to the end zone. We saw that a couple times in the preseason. The 49ers Saints game, they did it right before halftime, which was like, why are you doing that? But it shows you can. You put it inside the 20, it gets to the end zone. If it hits, and this is something that I think the fans don't understand, if it hits inside the 20 and goes to the end zone and isn't returned, it's the 20. Not the 30. If the ball hits in the landing zone and then goes out of the end zone, it's still the 20. If you put it in play between the 20 and the goal line, that's an advantage, especially if the line drive isn't caught.
Yes.
And this is where, and I remember Sean Payton talked about this months ago, you want to have a guy who's almost like an outfielder who can get to the ball, and that's the other risk. You get a running start to that ball, that line drive, you catch it, and off you go. Because the other thing to remember, the moment the ball hits the ground is when the electric football players can start going.
Yeah.
It sets up better field position for the defense if you can pull it off. And I think there's teams who believe their kickers can do it, and they've been hiding that. There's no reason.
I don't think
you
there's
don't
any
need
doubt.
to practice that in the preseason.
I don't think there's any doubt. That and the high chip shot that's going to, like, the kicker's going to kick a high pop-up that's going to land at, like, the 4-yard line, right? I think those are definitely things that teams are toying with. And I listen, I look at it. I know I said, hey, I think a lot of teams, it'll be the lesser team that takes the chance, gives themselves an advantage, an extra possession, whatever, field position, all that. But, like, these two teams tonight, do I think they're bold to try one or two things here on this kick? Yes. John Harbaugh, ex-special teams coach that you alluded to start the show. Andy Reid, he's got a special teams coach in Dave Taub who's always kind of been aggressive and a cutting edge there. I do think the special team coaches are excited to show some of their tricks and wrinkles. Now, whether the head coaches let them do that and they just go, well, we'll go situation or depending on the game or whatever that. But I do think some special teams coaches are looking to be aggressive and do have some tricks up their sleeves as far as this play is concerned.
I had a general manager say to me, the special teams coordinators are going to push this because it justifies their existence. It protects their turf. But at the end of the day, the head coach is the one
that's going to make the call. No
potentially
doubt.
Loses his job because we got cute in week 1. They returned it for a touchdown. We lost the game by 4. We missed the playoffs by 1 game, and I got fired.
Right.
I'm not playing with that. And coaches are so conservative, small c conservative, that it's hard to sell them on something like that because they're thinking, let's just put the ball in the end zone. Let's put it on the 30.
Yeah.
The difference between 25 and 30 is not all that big of a deal. We'll play defense, and we avoid the long return. The other wrinkle that may help is you get a holding penalty, and then half the distance, and you luck into good field position. And that's one of the concerns, too. You've got, typically with the kick return, layers and levels of blocks. You don't have that with everyone lined up on the 40 from the defense and then 5 yards away, 9 of the players from the offense. A lot's happening. There's an explosion of activity. There's concerns that guys are going to get blocked into guys' legs and cause injuries that way because it's a series of phone booths all
so
crammed
close
together.
To each other. Right. Yeah, I hear that. That's what's going to be. It's going to be interesting to let this play out, evaluate it, see where it goes. But I will say, I do think it's conservative, like I said. But you look tonight. Would I be shocked that one of these teams has something special up their sleeves on one of these returns or whatever? Zay Flowers or a Xavier Worthy are back there deep.
That's all the more reason to kick it out of the end zone. That's the problem.
I know. But also, too, I look at it and go, wait, with Harrison Butker and Justin Tucker, I go, these teams might also have some cool kicks, whether it's the squib like you're talking about that lands inside the 20 and rolls in the end zone or the high chip shot. But I'm excited to see it play out. It definitely, I do think we'll get a few more returns, but I don't know if it's going to be what we want or expected.
One last issue, too. A GM sent me clips of kickers getting blown up on this play.
Right.
Because there's been talk of, hey, let's use Justin Reed.
Sure.
Now, the Chiefs have said it's going to be Harrison Butker, but that's not binding. They can trot out Justin Reed with some sort of a surprise because then you have somebody who is adept at facing blockers, shedding blocks, getting to the ball. It's having an extra tackler. But, man, I've seen some kickers get – there's one. I'll show it to you. He got – a kicker from the Titans got destroyed.
Yeah, I think I saw it. Yeah.
And the other side of it, too, is can you really trust a guy who isn't a full-time kicker to keep the ball because it's got to hit inside the 20 and stay in bounds?
I hear you.
You put it inside the 20, that's great. It bounces out of bounds, that's not great. The ball goes to the 40.
Yeah, I don't envision a lot of non-kickers being able to pull that off. I don't, right? Maybe there's a guy, maybe there's a 2 or 3 other Justin Reeds in the league that can do that. And we'll see. And I'm excited to see tonight if they throw him out there from one of these. But, yeah, I don't think that's going to be something that, like you said, coaches, small C, conservative, are going to trust on a regular basis.
The commissioner pointed out the tweaks that the competition committee made last week. And I don't understand how they can make rule changes without at least 24 owners approving it, but I guess there's certain discretion that they already have. The ball has to be kicked off of a tee except for a declared onside kick, and we've seen some of the creative ways that special teams coordinators will put the ball in play with the declared fourth quarter if you're trailing onside kick. Teams can tack on certain penalty yardage on fouls that end the play rather than re-kicking, so it's just another time that we don't have a kick return. They want to reduce those if possible, and then there was an alignment issue that needed to be clarified. So the big one will happen after this year, if at all. If they even bring it back. Remember, it's a one-year experiment. So to even do it in its current form next year, they'll need 24 owners to say yes. Once they make a permanent rule change, you need 24 owners to get rid of it. To continue something they're doing on an experimental basis, you keep needing to get at least 3/4 of the owners to say yes. And maybe next year, there was a big push against 35. Plenty of people wanted to do 35 because they saw what we've all realized. They just give the 30. And you're up by 7 in the fourth quarter. Hell yeah, you're kicking it out of the end zone.
100%.
And if you're down 7 and you're not willing to do at that stage of the game the onside kick, you're more willing to roll the dice. Because if you just give up the 30 and you're down 7 with 8 minutes left in the game, they get to the 38
2 or
in
3
3 plays.
completions.
Well, no, not even that. If they punt, if you hold them to a punt, they're still kicking from the 38. You're going to have shitty field position.
You're right. No doubt about it.
One last thing.
Yeah.
It's a copycat league.
Right.
Everybody's going to be watching how the Ravens and the Chiefs do it tonight, how the Eagles and the Packers do it tomorrow night, how the teams at 1 o'clock do it on Sunday. I guarantee you the teams that play at 4 o'clock are going to have someone monitoring all the 1 o'clock games to see how they handle the kickoff. And then come Monday night, when 15 games have been played, the 49ers and the Jets will have a chance to digest all of it and adjust whatever plan they have accordingly. And that will happen because if somebody gets embarrassed and it becomes a big deal, oh, you kicked it off and you gave up a touchdown, that's going to influence what other coaches do.
Definitely. There's going to be weekly meetings about, hey, special teams coach, head coach, let's sit down, let's watch the 10 or 15 or 20 best returns of the week and the 10 or 15, best kickoffs of the week and what they did and copycat that and add our own tweaks. Certainly. It's going to be a gathering of information and hopefully it evolves to where, as the year goes on, the play is used more and more and we don't have the touchback.
There's no reliable analytics for now. It's just the preseason numbers, and that's all going to change, and it's going to keep changing every week. This is a great exercise because there isn't that base of information. We're living it. We're watching it play out one game at a time. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.